It has been a long time coming, but we finally have two of the all-time fan classic 3D Zelda games now playable on Nintendo Switch via Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. And in today's video, I want to boot up Majora's Mask together, play through some of the earlier portions of the game, share my initial memories, and also some gameplay experiences on how this game performs, and have a broader conversation on why, if you have not played Majora's Mask yet, it might be time to check it out for the first time. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we are playing through Majora's Mask on NSO together today, and I'm really looking forward to this playthrough. As you may remember, not too long ago on the channel, I did a brief video on Majora's Mask in terms of the 3DS version, which I was emulating on my PC. And while I do super enjoy that version, I honestly think it is still the better way to play the game, although some people would disagree, mainly due to the fact that there's some changes that fans are not, or their players are not a fan of, rather. And, you know, one of them being Zora Link swimming. That was a big one that stuck out for me. There's also some like boss fight change mechanics and things where they made certain bosses easier. And you could argue that, you know, on all fronts, it's not the perfect port of Majora's Mask. So there's going to be a lot of fans that are happy to actually go back to the original and experience this one again. I have heavy nostalgia for really this version the most, but I still like the graphical improvements that they did from the 3DS. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our map here. I've gotten us past the very beginning of the game because that's already pretty much what I had played through when we made that 3DS video a couple months back. So I'm excited to get just a little bit further into the game. I will say that one of the things that, you know, as it comes to temples and exploration and things like that, I think this game really picks up in the back half once you start to get the Goron mask, then the Zora mask, and you have a lot of freedom to go wherever you want in the world. It's a little bit linear at the start. I would say that Woodfall Temple is not personally my favorite. Also, quick tip that I already have enabled for people who are kind of stressed out by the time mechanic, and rightfully so, because you can lose a lot of progress in the game if you weren't planning ahead and you didn't realize that you were about to run out of the amount of time you have left before, of course, the world resets, because you only get 3 days, and it's the only Zelda game to ever have a mechanic like this. But you can play the Song of Time backwards, and that is called the inverted Song of Time, and that will actually effectively allow you to slow down time to half, if I'm not mistaken. And there's also like Song of Double Time, where you can skip forward by 6 hours and things like that in case you don't want to just sit there and wait around. So there's a couple, I don't think I have a bottle yet, otherwise I would love to bottle up that fairy. There's a couple little things like that you can do to help manipulate time and hop around and not just have to go strictly by the base game rules. So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments, you know, what this is for you. Is this a replay of Majora's Mask? I'm sure it is for a lot of hardcore Zelda fans out there. Or maybe you're somebody who got more exposed to the series from, you know, Breath of the Wild, or maybe just a little bit later on, like Twilight Princess and stuff, and you never got a chance to go back and play these N64 classics. I always tell people that you need to do Ocarina of Time and complete that, then play Majora's Mask, because the games really complement each other in a surprisingly good manner. Like, so Ocarina of Time is definitely, I don't have what he's looking for yet. I think I got to go talk to the Twin Rova sister over here. Please inquire at the Magic Hag's potion shop near the edge of the swamp. So I'm pretty sure what I'm supposed to do here is actually go find the old hag in the yeah, that sounds so offensive, the old hag, but I mean, that's really what she is, right? I mean, if she's like a witch or something, I'm pretty sure that's the definition of that. But yeah, I'm supposed to go find her at the forest that she's like having a bad time with right now. But I'm supposed to get a bottle somewhere along the way and bring her a potion, I know too. We'll figure this all out together. But I will tell you guys, for me personally, Majora's Mask is one, of course, that you have to play after Ocarina of Time, because again, Ocarina of Time is the big open world, not open world per se in today's standards, but just way more open of a layout, grand exploration, if you will. Whereas Majora's Mask is a lot less dungeon focused and grand exploration, and more of a up close look at the world of Termina, the NPCs that live in it. A lot of cool throwbacks to Ocarina of Time, because of course you are the same Child Link, it's just that you are actually, you know, in a different timeline, because of course at the end of Ocarina of Time, the timeline splits 3 different ways, and this is one of the branches that you continue. So a lot of cool story elements, very eerie vibe to this game, because of course they're trying to go for that darker end of the world type scenario, because, well, the moon's falling on the earth, and that might be a big problem if you were, you know, just living your everyday life and you realize the moon's getting a little bit too close. And then, so sure enough, you see the panic progress as you progress forward in this game, which is like a really cool thing to do. I think I have to come back here after, which, by the way, the background music for this, the Twin Rovas, is like next level. I almost want to just sit here and listen to it for a minute, but I'm pretty sure I have to come back and talk to her after I go find her sister, who I believe is the one injured in the swamp area here. So definitely did not play through Majora's Mask near as much as what I did with Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time for me was like the game that got me into the Zelda series, so I was very much obsessed with it. Probably played it upwards of 30, I mean, I for sure upwards of 30 plus times, in a mixture of mainly between the N64 version and then later on in the GameCube version when it was ported over as part of that collection. They even did Ocarina of Time as a standalone one that came with Master Quest that I have fond memories of. And I didn't play through Master Quest many times, but every now and then when I just wanted a different experience as part of Ocarina of Time, it was a fun way to go back and re-enjoy the game, but have things switched up. But again, Majora's Mask, I would say, I don't know, probably in the neighborhood of like 10 to 15 times total between this version and of course the 3DS port. But I still hope, you know, like, I love having these games as part of NSO, don't get me wrong. I still hope we get the 3DS versions ported over eventually, though. They wanted to just sell it to us in a combo pack, $60, easy money. You know, we get Ocarina of Time 3D and we get... Okay, so now that I know she needs the potion, I think I can go back and we'll go ahead and get her what she needs. But yeah, easy money for Nintendo to do. Maybe there's a couple ways they could go about it. Like, maybe they just bring over the 3DS ones, up-res them slightly, and let them run on the Switch and they would look beautiful. Or they just wait long enough that everybody kind of forgets about them and they don't think it's ever going to happen, and they actually do, from the ground up, individual re-releases of these games again. Which I'm not opposed to either one, but I'd rather have them sooner rather than later. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Definitely let me know in the comments down below, but I do like to have the option to actually go back and play those 3DS versions, but on a TV, because there's no easy way to do that outside of emulation right now. But so we'll have to go back, give the bottle of red potion. We'll probably cut around here a little bit so we're not all talking in just the exact same part of the game. So we'll be back shortly. Now then, we are currently on a quest to save our monkey friend, or the brother of the monkey that actually led us through all of this. And we have a somewhat reminiscent part of the game, similar to like when you're going past the guards in the early part of Ocarina of Time. A little bit more complex in my opinion on this one. I actually like personally doing this at night, because you can see exactly how far they can see in like white dots, if I'm remembering that right. Like, it kind of projects how far they can see. So we'll see if we can navigate through all this without too much trouble. It is very interesting. That was a close call. It is very interesting how they manage this this overhead perspective. Like, you know, of course it's normally like a close-up 3D, and they just have that camera on lock for being able to... Oh, let's hope I have enough rupees. Yeah, I have 85. We should be good. But yeah, so there's you know, it's the way they handle the camera there is pretty unique, and the way it just goes above you and kind of more like a top-down view, like kind of like slight half top-down. But we actually have to buy magic beans. I will say this: Majora's Mask has some of the more clever, very clever puzzles and things that you kind of have to think outside of the box, because I guess you can actually just get water. But I remember the way that I figured this out, which I guess I'm just going to go ahead and do that and let my fairy go. But I still have a pretty vivid memory of trying to plant the magic beans and then not... I guess I didn't put together at the time when I was a kid first playing through this that, you know, they have to have water to grow. So when I planted the magic beans there, of course, I didn't think to grab water from here. And it just so happened to be the second day. And on the second day in Majora's Mask, it rains. And so just that rain alone, I wonder if I should plant these here. I can't remember what I get for doing this, but I will go ahead and do it. Why not? So, you know, it was one of those things where this may be a piece of heart. It may just be something smaller, like some rupees, but either way, instead of doing it like this, I never did this as a kid, and I would go over to the other part, and I realized that it grew into this leaf thing when it was the second day and it was raining. And I always thought that was a really cool deal, because you know, it's realistic for like when this game was out that, oh yeah, of course, if you didn't pour water on it, but you just wait for the rain to come, then it gets the same end result. So a lot of little like clever nuanced stuff. So yeah, that's just 20 rupees, not really worth it, but we'll go ahead and buy another one and then get on to our progression of saving our monkey friend after we get through the first temple, which I don't think we're necessarily going to do in this video. But so now instead of waiting till the second day, I'm of course using that water mechanic with just pouring the water on there and not waiting for the rain, which is definitely the way you should do that. And I will tell you guys, what's funny here is I've actually messed this up quite a few times, and that's kind of where the time mechanic comes into play, because it does start to feel a little bit stressful. Like if I didn't have it slowed down to half time right now, and I wanted to try to make it through this whole story section plus the first dungeon, which is Woodfall Temple, you know, that's that's actually a task at that point, because you very well, if you get stuck in the dungeon for a while, you very well just run out of time altogether, and then in which case you do actually lose your progress, which is kind of crazy, and probably not a mechanic they would continue to return to in Zelda. If I could line this up, that would be great. But you know, it's one of those things. I know you can fly over those guys and drop a Deku nut on them too, but I think they can hit you out of the air pretty easily. So I'm going to avoid doing that, for at least for now. But yeah, I'll tell you guys, like one of the things is that time mechanic is stressful, but it's a good type of stress in my opinion. Now, another common complaint you'll hear with NSO a lot, and I'm shocked at Nintendo for not restocking this already, but so the one problem here that they really should add in, and I hope that they will with the continued future emulator updates, is button remapping, right? Because if you look at this N64 controller, which I absolutely love it and is, you know, very nostalgic for me, it's a weird controller, and it doesn't translate very well to a 2022 Nintendo Switch Pro controller at all. And some people will say, well, you can remap the buttons in the system settings, and it's like, well, yes, you can, but then also you have to remember how you changed everything around to, you know, just navigate your Switch feels very odd, and you have to change it when you're playing any other game. So that's not a good solution, and they could easily put button mapping in as part of the emulator feature. So I really hope we see that happen. Not to mention the fact that it has been since October when these controllers originally were sold, and we still haven't had a single restock yet that I'm aware of. Now, Nintendo had their store down for maintenance for forever, and it recently came back online, and it looks a lot nicer now. But to my knowledge, there's still not been a controller restock, as it still just says sold out. So you guys let me know if you've heard of any restocks, or if you're out there still waiting and trying. I know there's a lot of fans that are, and it's very unfortunate, because as these awesome classics continue to come to the service, I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to pick one of these up and not pay, you know, stupid eBay scalper prices on them. So another thing that just occurred to me is, like, good luck playing that exact chart on a Pro controller if you don't know exactly what button is mapped to what, whereas it makes perfect sense when you're playing on the N64 controller. So we really need to get those brought back into stock soon. Let's hope we see it. And one thing I do love about this classic Zelda formula is, like, you have an instrument, you have to go learn a song that's themed around a temple. It's how you raise the temple, or it's how you get there. Like, there's so much cool core mechanics that have been developed in these 3D Zelda games that, you know, to be fair, in Breath of the Wild, while it's such a great experience on its own, misses some of these points, like a central instrument, and maybe like learning songs as you go to unlock new dungeons. And there's not traditional dungeons in Breath of the Wild, and so there's a lot of reason for me, as somebody who's grown up as a Zelda fan, to want to go back and replay these classic games, because they just offer, I'm not going to say a better experience, it's a different experience entirely. And while I think that Breath of the Wild is incredible and it needed that open world change in a lot of ways, I still think there's like a perfect mix of both worlds in there somewhere, and I hope that that's what we see kind of start to happen with Breath of the Wild 2. I don't think I can actually hit him from here. I can from here though. Here we go. There we go. Oh, he hit me too. But then you also have like a lot of cool stuff around here. Like, there's a area that if you don't know where you're going, like, you might actually just try to drop off and see if you can, you know, go over to that new area down there. And that's actually something you'll come back to later. It's like a Skulltula house, as opposed to having all of the golden Skulltulas just in the overworld. They actually have just a couple spots. If I would have been right underneath, oh, let's hope we don't fall off here. If I can hit him from right underneath, like, nope, not that. All right, let's see if I can just shoot him then, because I know there's a way you can pop out of that. Oh my god, inverted controls. I'll tell you guys this, I don't know what everybody was thinking back in the first 3D era. Some people were like, oh, you know, inverted controls are for you know, games like Star Fox, because you're supposed to feel like you're fighting or flying a fighter pilot type of deal. And it's like, you know what, unless if it's a flying game specifically, and even then I don't like them, Y is up, down, and down, up. It makes zero sense to me. It never has, and I'll never be able to adapt to them. And that's, again, another thing about the 3DS version that I like is you don't have to worry about the jankiness of inverted controls just being the default method. I don't remember what I was saying before that, but here's our owl friend we're coming up on, and we're going to learn another very important song, which will allow us to fast travel across all the different owl statues, which are also like, it's an interesting save mechanic because it's essentially like a pause and save in where you're at in time, but to truly save, you actually have to reset time and go back to the first day. So of course now we have things like save states too, in addition to this, to kind of help out, which I don't traditionally use save states, but I will just occasionally in this with like the errors we've seen before the most recent updates where games can crash and you just lose your save data altogether. Like I would be pretty angry if I was 30 plus hours into my Majora's Mask playthrough trying to do a 100% run and something like that happens and then there's just no more save data. Like good luck trying to get me to go through another 30 hours to get back to where I was, you know? So it's a very frustrating thing for people who went through that with Paper Mario, especially because I know I kind of went viral online when that all happened. But the NSO app, to quickly speak about that, is definitely getting so much better, or N64 NSO app specifically, as this is version 2.0 now. And of course, if you watch the news videos, you'll know that fog rendering is fully back in effect, as it just wasn't there before. Even in games like Mario Kart, not just Ocarina of Time, but even Mario Kart now can render fog correctly. So whatever they're doing to fix up this emulator is working across the board with the whole library of N64 games, which is really a great thing to see. Not to mention the fact that I absolutely notice a strong reduction in input lag compared to what Ocarina of Time played like when it was first out. And that is literally a game breaking feature for me. So like when I noticed the input delay, it was taking me out of the entire experience. And part of the reason I still haven't completed Ocarina of Time on my N64 run through, which I intend to go back and do before I finish this game, by the way, now that the improvements have finally been made. But that's how big of a deal that was for me. But before we get too much closer to the temple here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it because it's just an interest of time for the video. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. If you're picking up Majora's Mask, I mean, of course, if you're an NXO Expansion Plus subscriber, Expansion Pack subscriber rather, then you'll be able to play it and enjoy it. But are you going to play it for the first time? Is this something that's, you know, more nostalgic for you? What do you think of the updates around the NSO N64 emulation? I personally am becoming more of a fan of this service, as I was highly critical of it at the start. You guys can go back and watch my videos. Like $50 annually is still a high asking price, but considering I was going to spend $25 on the Mario Kart DLC anyway, they have Animal Crossing DLC, which is not for me, but it's still another $25 value. And then you have all these games, and we're getting at least one game per month. And most importantly, the performance of the games is starting to get much better. So again, from you guys, I want to hear at this point in the video what you personally feel about the service, the price point, how you think the emulation has been upgraded, and if it's a big deal to you. And definitely share with me whether or not this is going to be your first time playing through Majora's Mask and what you think of it so far, or if it is a nostalgia trip for you and you're enjoying your playthrough or not so far in the comments down below. So I do look forward to hearing from you guys before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Make sure you check out yesterday's video if you haven't already, where we discuss a lot of the emulation improvements to specifically Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask with the fog rendering, and how big of an upgrade this version 2.0 N64 emulator app has been. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.